I'm not Mitch Connor, and this is a continuation of my previous video. As we went over goofiness of ISIS here, and Leaning Tower of Pizza, Jordanian furious over Pentagon leak over secret anti-terror cap, bullcrap. This guy, the DHS intelligence report of domestic right-wing terror threat, which they're really more concerned about than ISIS because, well, they're kind of affiliated there. This Lebanese guy talking about how why does ISIS not attack Israel since they hate Jews so much? And now we're to counterpunch.org. Private donors from Gulf oil states helping to bankroll salaries of up to 100,000 ISIS fighters by Patrick Chlamydia. They're receiving significant financial support from Iraq sympathizers, or Arab sympathizers outside Iraq and Syria, enabling it to expand its war efforts, says a senior Kurdish official. The U.S. has been trying to stop such private donors in the Gulf oil states sending to Islamic State funds that help pay the salaries of fighters who may number well over 100,000. No, they're not. And I'll show you why in a sec. Fawad Hussein, the chief of staff of the Kurdish President Mossad Barzani, told The Independent on Sunday there is sympathy for Daesh, which doesn't exist, by the way, the Arab acronym for IS, also known as ISIS, in the Arab countries, and this is translated into money, and that's a disaster. He pointed out that until recently, financial aid was being given more or less openly by Gulf states to the opposition in Syria, aka the Free Syrian Army. But by now, most of these rebel groups have been absorbed into IS and Jabhat al-Nusra, the al-Qaeda affiliate, so it is they who now have the money and the weapons. So they're trying to stop such private donors, Gulf oil states sending the Islamic State funds, but they're getting the funds because they're arming the opposition in Syria, and then they're being absorbed into IS, right? Okay, Washington Post. The United States and Jordan, this is from April 2nd, 2013. The United States and Jordan have stepped up training of Syrian opposition forces that may be used to establish a buffer zone along Syria's southern border, according to U.S. and Jordanian officials. This is just one of many, many examples, okay? So that's a contradiction right there. No. They're trying to muddy the waters so you don't figure out, no, the United States is arming, supporting ISIS, and so are their allies in the Middle East, okay? Anyway. There's also this, Hussein would not identify the states from which the funding for ISIS comes today, but implied that they were the same Gulf oil states that financed Sunni Arab rebels in Iraq and Syria in the past. This guy, a veteran member of the Iraqi Kurdish leadership who recently retired from the Iraqi parliament, said there was a misunderstanding as to why Gulf countries paid off IS. It is not only that donors are supporters of IS, but that the movement gets money from the Arab countries because they are afraid of it, he says. Gulf countries give money to Daesh so that it promises not to carry out operations on their territory. Yeah. I don't buy it for a second. A little bit further down in the article, on the contrary, IS appears to have human and financial resources to fight a long war, though both are under strain. According to interviews by The Independent with people living in Mosul reached by phone, or with recent refugees from the city, IS officials are conscripting at least one young man from every family in Mosul, which has a population of 1.5 million, which, it used to be 1.8 million. 500,000 fled in 2014. It was still over 1 million that year. So, it's not quite 1.5 million, but anyway. It has drafted a list of draconian punishments for those not willing to fight, starting with 80 lashes and ending with I think they'd be dead by the end of the 80 lashes, unless they're not all at the same time. That's one hell of a punishment. Anyway. All these new recruits receive pay as well as their keep, which until recently was $500 a month and now has been cut to $350. Officers and commanders receive much more. A local source who did not want to be named said that foreign fighters, of whom there are an estimated 20,000 in IS, get a much higher salary. 20,000, really. I know 3 foreign fighters, said Ahmad, a 45-year-old shopkeeper still working in Mosul. I usually see them at checkpoints in our neighborhood. One is Turkish and the others are Europeans. Some of them speak a little Arabic. I know them well because they buy soft drinks from the shops in our neighborhood. The Turkish one is my customer. He says he talks to his family using the satellite internet service that is available for the foreigners, who have excellent privileges in terms of salaries, spoils, and even captives. He added, ISIS fighters have arrested 4 high school teachers for telling their students not to join ISIS. Woohoo. A little bit further down, the CENTCOM spokesman claimed there were only between 1,000 and 2,000 ISIS fighters in Mosul, which is out of keeping with what local observers report. Now, if CENTCOM is right, how the hell do they have control of the city with only that many people when it's over 1 million people? Sorry, that doesn't make sense. And even if they number between 20,000 and 31,000, no, I don't see how they could have control of that city. I would think they'd need more if that city wasn't too happy with their presence. Maybe they are, though, or maybe it's all fake. And of course, I leave these links in the description, so because I'm not going over the whole article here, but just some finer points. You want to get the whole picture, go ahead and read it yourself, think critically on it. Mr. Hussein makes another important point. Difficult and dangerous though it may be for the Kurds and the Baghdad government to recapture Mosul, they cannot afford to leave it alone. It was here that ISIS won its first great victory, and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who's fake, who doesn't exist, according to the New York Times in 2007, declared the caliphate on 29th of June last year. And he did so in front of a green-screened fake balcony where there's no evidence of an audience or anything like that. Anyway, and he's a freaking intelligence agent, so because they're creating this whole thing for you. At the moment, the Peshmerga forces are only 8 miles from Mosul, but ISIS fighters are likewise not much further from the Kurdish-held oil city of Kirkuk, which ISIS assaulted last month. Given the size of Iraq and the small size of the armies deployed, each side can inflict tactical surprises on the other by punching through scantily held front lines. There are 2 further developments to the advantage of Islamic State. Even in the face of the common threat, the leaders in Baghdad and Erbil remain deeply divided. When Mosul fell last year, the government of Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki claimed that the Iraqi army had been stabbed in the back by a conspiracy between Kurds and ISIS. I just wanted to highlight that because, well, looks like Counterpunch is a conspiracy theorist, right? Well, conspiracies don't happen every day. You're a conspiracy theorist if you think that. Anyway, let's move on to the next one because this connects to these mall threats, okay, that came from Somali extremists, allegedly. Okay. DHS eventually came out and said there's no credible plot. Even still, let's get the Department of Homeland Security and police taking it seriously and lining up in frickin' riot type gear, okay, in the mall. It makes us all feel safe. We need to feel safe because we got this lone wolf attack, a term that is just so ludicrous to use for if these fake shootings were real, that is, okay, that have been happening over the last few years, because that's not how a wolf attacks. A lone wolf, if you see a lone wolf, that means you're surrounded by a bunch of wolves, and it's those wolves that will attack you because the lone wolf is there to get your attention so that you're not seeing the attack coming. And over to good old CNN. After a siege at the Kenyan Mall 2 years ago, the FBI started staging mock attacks in U.S. shopping centers during off hours to test their readiness, an official said. Yep, they stage mock attacks, and sometimes they go live as if they were real. Like the LAX shooting, where Paul Ciancia was actually a dummy. That was a New York Post article. I believe I've linked that before and showed that before in videos. If I haven't, well, let me show you. This is one of those instances. If you think that's a human being, I'm sorry, you are sadly mistaken. Look at the hand. That is not a real hand. They did a pretty good job on the face. And what is this blob of jelly? This is from the New York Post. I saved it, okay? Just look it up. Paul Ciancia's body, New York Post. Google. Simple. So, I don't know about the legitimacy of this Kenyan Mall attack, okay? I've not looked into it. Nonetheless, the Somalian terrorist group released a video Saturday calling for similar attacks in the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. Homeland Security and the FBI said they are not aware of a specific credible plot against U.S. malls. They've worked to improve security in the light of attack in the malls in Kenya. Last year, the FBI teamed up with various malls nationwide to increase preparedness, a law enforcement official told CNN. Tested the readiness of SWAT teams by staging fake attacks at malls when they were closed, the official said. Since then, the FBI has had a program that works with malls to improve security, the official said. So they limited past attacks to its home country, woohoo. And it's probably all they're going to do because it's frickin' Somalia. Other terrorist groups such as ISIS have made vicious headlines, yada yada yada. DHS and the FBI say they believe the video was the militants' attempts to compete for attention and recruit with other terrorist groups. No, I'm pretty sure they're controlled by you guys in the CIA and stuff. Al-Shabaab's strength is compromised, U.S. law enforcement officials said. Well, the group has the desire to see a mall attack in the U.S. It probably isn't able to do so. Duh. And despite what some officials describe as an attention ploy, security was beefed up in malls listed as potential targets. And whose attention ploy is it, though? Maybe this guy's? This Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, who said there is no credible evidence suggesting a U.S. mall attack is in the works, but shoppers should be vigilant nonetheless, he said. There will be enhanced security at malls, he said, but public vigilance, public awareness, and public caution in situations like this is particularly important, and it's the environment we're in, frankly. No, it's not. No, it's not. Stressing that there is no known credible threat to any mall, Johnson cautioned that attacks can be unpredictable. Now, here's the most important thing he says. I won't know about when the next bad actor is going to strike. Now, those of you who don't understand where I'm coming from of the threat is fake, ask yourself, why would he use this term bad actor when the next bad actor is going to strike? Why would he say that? Really seriously ask yourself that. Because I can't think of any other reason. I mean, a bad actor. Why wouldn't he just say the next terrorist? Why wouldn't he say the next extremist? No, bad actor. And it's funny because hoax after hoax after hoax with these bullshit terror attacks and lone wolf shooters and stuff, we have bad actors. Time and time again. These ISIS beheadings and executions, we have bad actors. Time and time again. You don't know about the history about it, or of that, look it up, okay? You need to. You need to understand that you're being lied to, okay? But yet they tell you the truth. They slip it in. Bad actor. Because that's what it's going to be if if a mall attack happens, okay? We take any potential threat seriously, sure. The two paragraphs I want to particularly point out here is we have protocols in place that as things happen, we can ramp up, and we've implemented some of those strategies, said the Bloomington police chief. Some of them are things that people wouldn't notice. The mall also has its own intelligence branch and a station where teams monitor chatter on social media, according to Michael Rosen, the security consultant. Oh yeah, and they look for, they're trained in behavior detection techniques at the mall. Really? Ridiculous. They just want the police state everywhere. If that's actually happening, or if they're just, you know, trying to make you think there's a real threat out there, and oh, but you know, it's safe to go to the mall, right? The rest of this stupid article is just trying to get you to think that you know, they're actually recruiting extremists in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh, it's home to a bunch of big Somali population, the largest in the United States. Why would they even come to the United States if they didn't want to enjoy the so-called freedoms we have, or at least the, you know, the prosperity that we have in comparison with most nations in the world? Anyway, U.S. airstrike in Somalia killed the al-Shabaab leader. The terror group later replaced him and vowed to avenge his death. Whatever. No, they're just trying to scare you.